Karen Benson.
Mark.
Welcome to
Thank
Business
you.
Insider.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And Commercial HQ. We like to give credit to our
beautiful
landlords here. We were just talking about silos and people, not being visible outside the silos. Now, when we talk about carbon training, people say, well, why are they talking to them? You have a very specific space and a very valued space on the coast with some high-profile clients. You might not need to mention those, but what do you do here? What does carbon training do?
Well, we support local businesses with the development of their staff. I think we have a great opportunity to work with businesses in partnership rather than as a service or as a provider. So we go into businesses and we look at where their areas of opportunity are, and we work with their staff.
It does sound a bit like a government day. Like we're from training and we're here to help, and you do, and you suffer a bit under that. But your opportunities or what you bring are far greater than that, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. I think the biggest benefit that businesses have in working with a private provider, such as ourselves, is we're business people too. The people we employ are business people. They've got the experience in the industries that we go out and service. So we're not just plucking people out of the air. They're up to date with industry, with what challenges are being faced. They go out and do industry days with businesses as well. So I think it's important that we're not seen as just a government funded money program, because it's not about that at all. If it is, they're working with the wrong RTO.
Okay, indeed. Yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the projects you do for some of your clients?
Yep. Look, we service 4 main industries: the corporate business sector. So we have management courses and professional development workshops for them. We service hospitality and retail, and obviously on the coast that's a huge area of opportunity, and certainly turnover is something that impacts on these businesses too. We service childcare. They're about to go through a major restructure with legislation and requirements as far as trained staff and ratios in rooms. So we're working with them to make sure that they meet the requirements they need to from a legislative perspective. And then of course, any industry that has training as a high priority in their business, we service trainers and assessors to coach them through, what a trainer should be and how they can work in this sector.
Okay. And there are a few training advisory groups on the coast.
A lot, yeah. Yeah.
So what separates? What do you do differently? Is there a strategy that you've employed?
Look, it's going to sound very cliche-ish, but we are quite a tight operation in the sense of we employ locally, we service locally, we have a very high success rate, and when I say that I mean from our participants' perspective. That is the #1 priority with employers, because if they don't...
Do you put numbers on that?
Oh yes, yeah. Our completion rate is over 92% year to date. Okay. We've never dropped below that. It's always been in the 90s. The acceptable rate in our industry is 65 to maintain contract. So I think that's a huge bonus. Certainly we could probably...
So what do you do differently to get that? If some people in the industry believe 65 is acceptable and you believe 80 or 92 is acceptable. So.
Look, for us, again, cliche, it's not about the numbers. It's not about huge intakes of students. It's about quality ones. And it's also about working with employers that take this seriously. We are a family-run business, and when I say that, I don't, I include my staff in that. They're very serious about what they do. The success of our participants is really important, because the cost of an employer turning a staff member over is, as we know, it can range from a few $1,000s to $20,000, $30,000. So for us, it's really important to get them on the program and successfully complete them. Otherwise, there's no point in them starting in the first instance.
Okay. What's going to happen in the next 12 months? Are there issues or opportunities that you'll be confronting?
I believe in our industry, the biggest challenge we're going to face is there's a lot of growth. With that needs to obviously come depth in the experience of people we employ. I think that's a challenge for most RTOs, particularly on the coast and in Newcastle.
You're saying skills shortage amongst the people you
employ?
employ?
Yeah, and I think experience, it's really important. You, like I mentioned earlier, we employ people from the industry, and usually they're people that see the years of industry experience that they have had themselves as important and valuable and want to pass that information on to others. But with that also, they need to understand this industry, the complexity of it, contracts, challenges that we face, and be able to deal with those as well. And I believe a lot of RTOs on the coast would find that as well. We either need to employ locals that may not have that experience and train them up, or we need to, seek further, maybe perhaps in Sydney.
And strategic plans, because the big paddle is now here. How can you grow? Do you have expansion plans or?
Definitely expansion plans. We've just started using or operating in every other state as well as New South Wales. We have user choice contracts in all states. We service quite a broad area of New South Wales. We are in Tamworth, Dubbo, Bathurst, Wollongong as well. So we cover everywhere. We certainly have big plans to add to our scope of operations for next year. So we're going to be servicing higher end qualifications, diplomas, advanced diplomas. It's certainly a priority from the government's perspective as well.
So there is funding available from the government for that level?
Yep, there sure is. There's programs called the Strategic Skills Program, which is one that we've been heavily involved in this year. We've been able to secure really great contracts with that. And that type of program enables people that are not necessarily eligible for traineeships or may not even be in the workforce at this point in time to take advantage of these programs and get into some great jobs.
Okay.
And some of those people are at diploma level, so it's quite a high expectation when they come out of their course.
Okay. The soapbox now,
yep.
The rant. If you could change something, what would it be?
Well, look, the uncertainty with government is a huge impact on our industry. I don't think necessarily, either way it's going to have pros and it's going to have cons, we all know that, but I think that uncertainty is across the board in any industry, but certainly for us, where there are contracts that are available, they're very highly regulated, and to change those to meet regulation requirements, if government changes and what they decide to change, funding can go very quickly as well. Funding can be allocated at the drop of a hat and be gone and dried up within days and weeks. So it's important, I think, to that the industry in itself maintains its high criteria when it comes to regulation, so that they can look at the providers that are serious about this and offering clients quality as well. We've just gone to a national regulator, so it's not state driven anymore, which I think is a great way to go. It's been trying to do that for many years, and I think this is...
So what does that do? Is your satisfaction with that knowing that there is now a national?
I think it has two positive outcomes. Number one is for those RTOs that are servicing various states. It certainly helps clear up some of the irregularities that were there, but I think from a perception perspective, it certainly will help the public to be able to make decisions knowing that their skills are transferable. It becomes a lot clearer. A lot of people moving from state to state wouldn't even know where to start looking, but having a national regulator will certainly help. And it will definitely wean out those that perhaps don't take this industry seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karen, we've got national broadband, almost on our doorstep. How does the internet impact your training skills and processes?
Mark, we have a couple of problems in this, in the sense that there's two types of clients we service. Number one is employment based, and if they're on a funded program, it's still very much paper driven. We are
real paper.
Yeah, we are accountable to the Department of Education and Training, and a lot of that is based on hard evidence on paper that we need. We need real signatures. We need real evidence. that makes it very difficult for us to use technology the way we'd like to. But certainly in other areas, such as where we're upskilling or we're working with corporate clients, there's a great, the world out there is just endless. We're up to version 5 of Apple, where it's going to go, who knows. But we're certainly, working with e-learning, cloud type communications, iPads, that sort of thing. So that when we're out in the field, it's a lot quicker, a lot more streamlined and a lot more real time. And that's, I think, what's important, because legislation changes very quickly and requirements of industry change quickly. Being on paper, it's quite stagnant. Yeah. So, it's a great opportunity that we work with.
From a company that does take it seriously.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Now
I look forward to working with many more businesses on the coast.
We can, indeed.